Each Grand Prix has a slightly different number of laps than the Grand Prix before it. The races are also quite different in terms of duration, but what exactly determines the duration of a race? Well, we'll explain this in the brand new FactChecker. Formula 1 drivers will complete 71 laps one race, while the next Grand Prix may only last 44 laps. These may seem like random numbers, but there is, of course, some thought behind it, as the regulations prescribe just how many kilometres must be covered in a Grand Prix. This distance has been set at a minimum of 305 kilometres. Although the number of laps differs per race, the drivers will always drive around the same distance. For example, on the long circuit Spa-Francorchamps, there's only 44 laps that are needed to complete this distance, while on the much shorter Red Bull Ring, this takes 71 laps. Depending on the length of the circuit, drivers will sometimes complete more than 305 kilometres. After all, this number is only a minimum, and sometimes an extra lap is needed to fit the regulation. Even though the same distance is always driven, that does not mean that the duration of every Grand Prix is the same. One circuit may be faster than the next. Take the Italian Grand Prix for example. Due to the higher average speed, this race is always a fairly short one. Unexpected events like crashes, rain and safety cars can also significantly increase the duration of a race. The total race time should never be more than 2 hours. When those 2 hours have passed, the race stops. Only when a red flag occurs will the time be stopped. There is one big exception in this whole story, and that is the Grand Prix of Monaco. The drivers only drive 260 kilometres during this race. This is the result of a very old rule in Formula 1. Because of the low average speed, the distance to be driven in Monaco was set lower, because otherwise, theoretically, it would be impossible to cover the entire distance within 2 hours. Nowadays, it might just be possible to cover the 305 kilometres within the 2-hour time limit. This is the reason that there are some people who want to set the same distance for the Grand Prix of Monaco to match the rest of the calendar. At the same time though, is the race in the Principality usually long enough as it is due to the lack of action on the track?